All right, Rabbi, say good morning. Let us begin. Baruch Hashem, to thank all of our sponsors for this morning shiur, to thank our TALMUD TORAH sponsors for the month of Elul, Shaindy and Avraham Kelman, for dedicating all the shiurim and drushos this month in honor of the engagement of their son Yechiel to Ilana Falick, and in memory of their parents, Jerome and Bernice Kalman, and Alexander and Friderica David. To thank Barak, Maia, Sandy Hoffman, Dora Lemus, and Avi Melamed for dedicating the shiurim this month in memory of Reuven ben Emanuel. To thank Ayal Sara Steinberg for dedicating the shiurim this month in zechus of refuah shelema for Shulamis bas Susha. The Daf Yomi for dedicating the shiur this month in the zechus of refuah shelema for Yehuda ben Michal. Our week of learning sponsors, Jeff and Karen Cohn, for dedicating the shiurim this week in commemoration of the yahrzeit of Jeff's mother, Elinor Cohn, Elka bas Binyomin Zvi, zichrono livracha. And our day of learning sponsor, Alan Wiseman, in memory of his wife, Reda Ruth, Rivka Rachel bas Zechariah, zichrono livracha. We open the merit of our TALMUD TORAH, the neshama will have an aliyah, and the family ein nechama. And also with that, let us begin. We have a lot to do today, a beautiful, beautiful daf ahead of us. Today's daf is Ayin Ches 78, but we have a lot to do still on Ayin Zayin Beis 77b. We left off in the widest lines. In the widest lines, the second to last line. I'm sorry, the second line in. Second to last line. Second line into the widest lines. So the Gemara says, Machuz Rabbi Yochanan. Hizoro mizivuve bali rasim. So remember again in yesterday's daf, so we ended off with a discussion regarding ra'ason, which the Gemara identifies as a type of parasite which embeds itself on the brain membrane. And again, the Gemara described in great detail how one has to be careful with removing that particular parasite. So therefore, Rabbi Yochanan said, be careful with the flies around a person with ra'ason. Let's remember again, we said yesterday that one of the simanim, one of the signs that a person is afflicted with ra'ason. Remember again, we had teary eyes, drooling, and flies around the individual. So you must be careful with the flies around a person with ra'ason. For those flies ultimately again could communicate the disease. Rabbi Zera lo haviyase bezeke. Rabbi Zera would not sit downwind. Wouldn't sit downwind of someone with ra'ason. Rabbi Lazar lo ayli ba'ale. Rabbi Lazar would not go into the tent of someone ultimately again who had ra'ason. Rabbi Amr Rabbi Asi lo havi achli mi bei diahi mavua. Rabbi Amr Rabbi Asi would not eat of the eggs, right, that came out of the same mavui, the same alleyway that someone with ra'ason was afflicted. So Rabbi says, so all of these rabbanim took different measures in order to protect themselves from ra'ason. Rabbi said, listen to this. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, michrich behu. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, at the end of the day, the Gemara says, michrich behu. Now I will say, what does michrich behu mean? If you look at Rashi's on both sides over here. So if you look at Rashi on the right side, it's the last two words, michrich behu, now top of the left side, nidbak etzlam b'shah sha'osek b'torah, u'mashivan etzlo, u'muftachu shetagin haTorah alav v'lo yazik. I will say this is so beautiful. The Yeshua ben Levi, he was not afraid to be around people with ra'ason. In fact, what he would do is he would make sure to remain close to them because he felt confident that his Torah, the merit of his Torah, would protect him from any kind of disease. I will say absolutely amazing, isn't it? Yeshua ben Levi was so confident in the power of his Torah, in the protective powers of Torah, that he felt totally confident being around people with ra'ason. He said as follows, Amar, Ayeles ahavim v'ya'alaschein. Shabbos say the pasuk over here, the Gemara is writing in Mishlei, is a metaphorical reference to Torah. Torah is ya'alaschein. Torah ultimately again causes a certain amount of favor to devolve upon a person. So first of all, what this is saying about Torah is when a person learns Torah, just the act of learning Torah fundamentally changes who you are. It changes me as an individual. And how does it change me? It endows me with a sense of chen, with a sense of favor. And that's both internally and externally. When we engage, we'll say part of the concept of kviyas itin, of setting aside time to learn Torah each and every day. It's not about acquiring knowledge. I will say in general, learning Torah is not about the acquisition of knowledge. The acquisition of knowledge is a byproduct of learning Torah. The reason I learn Torah is because Torah refines me as a human being. It makes me a better person. I remember, I don't remember, I understand, I don't understand. The act of engaging in Talmud Torah, by definition, has refining qualities. That's what it means when it says chen, yalas chen. So the Torah gives me this favor, this chen, changes me as a person. I will say, which is so incredibly important, because sometimes when we learn and we don't retain, we become so frustrated. Especially, again, we experience this often in Daf Yomi, right? I try to recall what happened yesterday. I don't know. It's like a blur. It's like a Torah tsunami hit me. I don't even know what happened. But it's okay. It's obviously I should try to retain also. But we might say the act of learning refines me, which I will say tells me something else. That if learning Torah doesn't refine me, I have to look at then how I'm learning. Maybe I'm not learning in the right way, right? Maybe I'm not paying enough attention. Maybe I'm not present enough. Whatever it might be, if it doesn't change me, I have to look at the process. So Rabbi Shimon Levi said like this. He said, if Torah endows a person with chen, with favor, then certainly it can protect me from ra'ason as well. Therefore, Rabbi Shimon Levi felt totally protected against the effects of ra'ason when he, as a result of the Torah, he was learning. So Rabbi will say, that's the end of the ra'ason sugya. That's it. Rabbi will say, now what I do want to point out is, there is a very important lesson not to be learned from this Gemara, which is obviously we don't place ourselves in makom sakana. We do not place ourselves in dangerous situations with the expectation that our Torah is going to protect us. Torah does protect. Torah absolutely protects. But you don't go out, put yourself in a compromised situation with the expectation that Torah will protect. What we're going to see is Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi was a different kind of person. Now we'll say, watch the Gemara now. Now we'll say, get ready for this Gemara. Ki avashachiv. Now Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi is about to die. He's about to die. Amr le malach hamaves, zil avedei reusei. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded the malach hamaves, go to Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi and do whatever he wants. All right, in other words, he's going to die. Say shalom aleichem to him, introduce yourself, you're about to take his neshama. Do whatever he wants. Azul is chazilei, malach hamaves appears to Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. Amr le, ichvi li duchtoi. So we'll say, watch this. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, I have one request. What's the request? Before I die, I want you to take me to Gan Eden and show me my place in Gan Eden. Right? I don't want to take it. What is it? Sight unsold? Sight? How does it? Seen what?
Sight unseen.
Sight unseen. Good. Hey, I don't want to take it sight unseen. Right? Take me to Gan Eden. Take me to Gan Eden. I want to see. I want to see my portion. Okay? So let's listen to this. Amrle, l'chayim. So what does the Malach HaMavis say? L'chayim means okay. After all, he was commanded, Amrle, havli sakinach. So let's say, Rishon says to the Malach HaMavis, give me your knife. Apparently the Malach HaMavis will say, this is not like a Grim Reaper knife, right? In other words, that apparently the Malach HaMavis has a knife. That's the knife, so to speak, not literal, but that's the knife that he uses to take the neshamas. So Dilma, mivas li ba'archa. Because Rabbi Shimon Levi says, I'm afraid that what's going to happen? Maybe you're going to scare me in the journey. And I'm going to die along the way. So what Rabbi Shimon Levi is saying to the Malach HaMavis is, give me your power to take life. So number one, take me to Gan Eden. I want to see. While I'm alive, I want to see my portion. And give me your knife, give over to me your power to take life, so that you don't accidentally take my life over the course of the process. So you have Nehele. Ultimately, again, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi, so Malach HaMavis complies. Kimat lahasam. So I'll say they get to Gan Eden. Listen to this. Daile, kamach vilei. So I'll say, so what happened? So apparently Gan Eden is a gated community. Right? It's a gated community. So what happened? So the Malach HaMavis lifts Rabbi Yehoshua up over the wall so that he could look into Gan Eden and see his portion. So what happened? So what did Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi do? Shavar nafalahu gisa. So we'll say, so Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi made a run for it. He jumped the wall, and he made a run for Gan Eden. I will say, what Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi is looking to accomplish is entry into Gan Eden without going through the process of death. Death itself is a quote-unquote difficult experience for the neshama. There's a transition. There's a transition between this world and the next. There's sometimes a waiting period with entry into Gan Eden. For whatever the reason, Yehoshua ben Levi decides He wants Gan Eden, but he wants it without the process of death. Without the process of death. So the Gemara says as follows. Dovi, refuah shelema. So good, Baruch Hashem. Welcome back. Barak Rofei Cholim. So the Gemara says as follows. So he makes a run for it. He makes a run for it now, and he decides to go ahead. That's it, he's going. So what happened? So this is incredible. So the Gemara says, Nakte bekane diglime. So it happens to be that the Malach HaMaves had grabbed a hold of a corner of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi's cloak. Grabbed a hold of it. Amrlei, b'shvuasa d'lasina. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, I swear by God, I'm not coming back. Rabbi Yehoshua says, I'm not going back. I'm staying here. I'm staying in Gan Eden. Samar Kutshabrichu, the Rimon Shalom said, I'itshel ashvua. So I want to point out, again, this is going to have to be one of these Gemaras that we come back to. Because I'll say, this is what is unfolding over here is something absolutely dramatic. Absolutely dramatic. But I will say, again, I just want to point out, just like on a basic level, what the Gemara is also highlighting to us is sometimes in life, if you see something you want, you have to make a run for it. In other words, you have to jump the wall and you have to run. Because at the end of the day, great things in life don't come to you. Accomplishment in life doesn't come to you. And accomplishment often comes with only after some level of really pushing yourself, self-sacrifice and exertion. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi sees in front of him Gan Eden. And what does he do? He makes a run for it. And I will say, even when you make a run for it and you jump the wall, you scale the wall of accomplishment, what happens? There's always something holding you back. Here it happens to Yehoshua ben Levi. What's holding you back? Little detail, the Malach HaMaves. Right, the Malach HaMaves. Because in life, whenever you want to accomplish something, there's always something holding onto your cloak and pulling you back. That's just the way that it works. But Yehoshua ben Levi says, I swear, I'm not coming back. You will say, why? Because when you want to accomplish something in life, and you make a run for it, and you start going, and something's holding you back, all too often in life, what happens? Something's holding us back. Let's be honest. The moment something holds me back, what do I usually do? I give up. What does Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi do? I swear I'm not going back. Redoubling my efforts. A rededication to this process. I am not going back. I will accomplish. What does the Barak Hu say? So this is the Amr Kuchabrichu. So what does Barak Hu say? Well, let's look at Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi's life. If Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi never made an oath that he did not comply with, in other words, if Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi was always a man of his word, whenever he swore something, he upheld his word, then I'll let him uphold this oath also. If he didn't uphold his word, then I'm not going to let him uphold this oath. In other words, he swore, I'm not coming back. Okay, so let's look at life. When you swore to do things throughout your life, did you do them or didn't you do them? If you were a man of your word, I'll let you stay. If you weren't a man of your word, you have to come back. And I will say ultimately again, the Gemara doesn't say it explicitly, but Rabbi Yehoshua was a man of his word. See, I will say, when you honor your commitments, if you say I'm going to accomplish and you don't back down and you go, then what happens? You have siyata d'shmaya. You have incredible divine providence to help you accomplish the things you need to accomplish. If you talk a lot about what you're going to do, but I never actually do it, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, if I'm all talk and no action, I don't have siyata d'shmaya. I don't have divine assistance. So I will say, this is what's happening in the story. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi wants to see his portioning on Eden. That portioning on Eden representing life accomplishment. I want to accomplish something in life. Great. I get to my accomplishment. What is there? There's a wall. So what happens? You could get a little bit of help scaling the wall, but then you have to make a decision to jump. You have to make a decision to go, a decision to exert yourself. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi jumps. He runs to accomplishment. As soon as he runs, what happens? Something pulls him back. Because that's what happens when you see your Gan Eden in sight. Something always pulls you back. What happens when you pull back? Tempting, give up. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, I'm not giving up. He swears, I'm staying. So let's say now I need siyata d'shmaya. When do you get siyata d'shmaya? If you are a man of your word. Right? If you make commitments and you follow through on those commitments, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, you're committed to your success, I'll be committed to your success as well. Amar li havli sakinai. So we'll say, now listen to this. So Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi now is staying in Gan Eden. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi is given permission to enter into Gan Eden without ever having died. Without ever having gone through the process of dying. That's the problem. He has the knife of the Malach HaMaves. Malach HaMaves says, fine, you're staying in Gan Eden, give me back my knife. So Allah Rabbi So I'll say this is interesting. Rabbi Shimon Levi did not want to give back the Malach HaMaves' knife. He didn't want to give it back. Nafka Baskal came out, Va'amrle Hav Nehele. The Mitvah Libriyasa. So the Baskal came out. We'll say it's like, Malach HaMaves says, give it back. Rabbi Shimon Levi says, no. Malach says, give it back. And what happens? The Baskal, right? The father comes out and says, give it back, right? Give it back. Why? Because the Malach HaMaves needs this for the rest of creation. Because the Gemara is highlighting over here is death. Death is part of the very fabric of life. Right? So ultimately the Malach HaMaves needs his knife back. Machriz Elio Kameh. So we'll say, so now, that's part A of the story. Part A of the story. That Yeshua ben Levi is granted entry, and ultimately, again, the ability to live in Gan Eden, despite the fact of never having died. He entered into Gan Eden living. Machriz Elio Kameh. So we'll say Elio announces in front of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Pinu makom lebar livoy, pinu makom lebar livoy. Make space for Bar Levi. We'll say Bar Levi is Ben Levi, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Make space. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi makes it Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Azul ashkech Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Davi Yosef atlas aser tachtaki fisa. So we'll say Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi finds who does he bump into? He finds Rashbi. You know, say, can you imagine? This is Gan Eden. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi comes and he finds Rabbi Yeshua bar Yochai. Rabbi Yeshua bar Yochai is sitting on 13 chairs of fine gold. Okay, obviously, whatever this means. Amarle, Atu bar Livoi. So Rabbi Yeshua bar Yochai says, is it true that you're Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi? Amarle, hein. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, yeah, I am. So Rashbi says, Nira Sakeshas V'yamecha, tell me, was there ever a rainbow? Did you ever see a rainbow during your lifetime? They both say, now understand, the rainbow, of course, is a sign, as beautiful as it is a sign of divine displeasure, right? Because remember again, the rainbow represents the covenant that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has with humanity, not to destroy the world. So the rainbow comes out when HaKadosh Baruch Hu was tempted to destroy the world, but abstains from doing so because of the covenant. The rainbow comes out. We have a Masorah that in a generation where there is an outstanding tzaddik, you'll never see a rainbow. Because the zechus of the tzaddik goes ahead and upholds the generation or protects the generation. So Rashbi asks Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, tell me, was there ever a rainbow in your time? So Amar Lehein, he said, yes, there was. Im kain iyata bar Levi. So incredible. Rashbi says, if that's the case, then you're not Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Because I know for a fact that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi's generation, there was never a rainbow. Velohi. The Gemara says, what's going on over here? The lo havi midi. In reality, there was never a rainbow during the days of Yeshua ben Levi. That's how great this zechus was. But he felt awkward answering the question, because he felt if he would have said there was no rainbow, that would have been like him taking credit for himself, and in his humility, he did not feel that was appropriate. Which I will say, by the way, is something very interesting, because what you see from this Gemara is that perhaps it is permitted to go ahead and change the truth to preserve, out of humility, that if one is asked the question whose true answer, could be perceived as a display of arrogance, perhaps one is permitted to go ahead and temper the answer a little bit, or alter the answer a little bit, out of reasons for humility. Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. So I'll say, that's the end of the Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi story. So I'll say, so much more to say about it, but dramatic nevertheless. Rabbi Chanina bar Papa, shoshvine hava. So let's listen to this. This is so interesting. Rabbi Chanina bar Papa, shoshvine. Rashi says, shoshvine is ohavo v'ragil etzlo malach hamalas. He was best friends with the malach hamalas. Best friends, right? Not acquaintances, not hey, what's up, not we hang out, right? Shoshvine. And again, ohavo, they loved each other, v'ragil etzlo, and they spent a lot of time. I have no idea how that friendship developed, right? But nevertheless, quite interesting. So what happened? Here we go. Ki havan kan necha nafshe, amar li lemalach hamaves, zil avalei rusei. So same thing, Rabbi Chanina bar Papa is about to die, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Malach hamaves, go to Rabbi Chanina bar Papa and do whatever he wants. Grant him, so to speak, whatever his last request is. Az lagabe v'schazei Malach hamaves comes Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. Amar lei shavki tlasin yom ad v'nehader talmudai. We'll say this is beautiful. Rabbi Chanina bar Papa says, okay, here's my request. Give me 30 days. Give me 30 days so that I could go ahead and review my learning. I could read my learning. Why I will say, listen to how beautiful it is. The Amri, because Chazal teach us, Ashrei mi sheba lekan v'talmudo biyado. I say, what a beautiful, beautiful Gemara. Praiseworthy is the person who comes here and his learning is in his hand. They will say, do you know why it's so important to come to learn every single morning? Do you know why it's so important? Because after 120, when we come to Shem, we come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we come to the Beis Din Shal Mala. So ultimately, again, what are the Malachim going to sing when we arrive? What are they going to sing? They're going to sing, Ashrei Misha Balakan, praiseworthy is the person who comes here. V'talmudo, his Talmud, his Daf Yomi, his learning is biyado. That this was a person, day in and day out, 7 days a week, no matter what was happening in life. This was a person who learned Torah. That's what the Malachim sing when such a person comes to Gan Eden. Absolutely incredible. They will say here, Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa was understanding it a little bit differently. He was understanding Talmudo biyado means someone who doesn't just have learning, but what? Has a significant comprehension of that which they have learned. So he said, give me 30 days before I die. I want to go ahead and chazar. I want to review all of my learning. Shat came, Malach HaMavis gave it him. The Basar Tlas and Yomin Asal is chazar. After 30 days, Malach HaMavis comes back. Amar le ichvi li duchtai. So now what does Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa say to Malach HaMavis? Malach HaMavis, do me a favor. I'd like to see my portion in Olam Haba. I'd like to see my portion in Gan Eden before I die. So Malach HaMavis says, Amar le lechaye. Sure, no problem. Amar le havli sakinach d'mamevis li ba'archa. So he says to Malach HaMavis, give me your knife, because I don't want you to accidentally kill me on the way. So we'll say, listen to this. Amar le ki chavreich bois leme avid. So Malach HaMavis says, get me once, fine. Right? Fool me once. You think if you're going to fall for that again, you're going to do to me what your buddy Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi did? Amar le aisi sefer Torah v'chazi mi'ika midi d'kasev bei delo kamaisei. We'll say, listen to this. Ultimately, again, so he says to Malach HaMavis, bring a Sefer Torah, and ultimately, again, show me, is there anything in this Sefer that I have not performed? So both say, so it's interesting, it's a little bit of machlokes here, exactly what Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa was trying to say. Either way, he was saying to the Malach HaMavis, I'm a trustworthy person, and I'm not going to steal your knife, or ultimately, again, he's preparing himself for entry into Gan Eden. And he says to Malach HaMavis, I'm curious to know where I'm holding. Bring a Sefer Torah. And you tell me, you're my friend, we're friends. Tell me, is there anything in here that I have not fulfilled? Amarle, mi ichrachis beba'ali rasan v'sakta b'Torah. So it says, interesting. So the Malach HaMavis says, listen, I have to tell you, the one thing you never did you ever become close with ba'ali rasan, people who had rasan, and allowed the Torah to protect you? So what he was saying was he was mentioning what Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi used to do. So I will say, so it's interesting, why does the Malach HaMavis bring this up, right? First of all, this is not Kasav Batorah. So Rashi understands it over here. If you look, Shaimasakin benafsho lechabeit es haTorah. When Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi, I will say, let's go back for just a moment. When Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi would go ahead and come close to people with Rason, right? Put himself in the same proximity, and rely on the greatness of Torah to protect him. But why did Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi do that? So the Malach HaMavis now explains that Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi was doing it to enhance Kavod Torah, to show people that Torah not only changes you as a person, but it protects you. It protects you. He was trying to show people the power of Torah. It seems that the Malach HaMavis is saying to Rabbi Yehoshua, to Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa, is yet you led a great life, but did you ever show other people the greatness of Torah like Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi did? Which is incredible, Rabbi will say. In other words, that it's not enough in life to do the right thing. I have to become an ambassador of Torah as well. And in that capacity as an ambassador of Torah, I show others the greatness of Torah as well. It's so profound. So I'll say, so bottom line is, Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa gets to see his portion but doesn't get to stay. He comes back down. Now he comes back to this world, he dies. When he died, I will say, this is incredible. There was a pillar of fire. That ultimately, again, prevented anyone from coming close to his funeral bier. Ugemiri, or the train bedara. And we have a Masorah that I will say, this fire only comes down for a unique person once or twice a generation. So Karv L'Gavi Rabbi Alexandri. So ultimately, Rabbi Alexandri tried to get close to the funeral bier, because we'll say now here was the problem. As incredible as it was that there was a fire surrounding the coffin, the casket of Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa. What was the problem? They couldn't bury him. They couldn't bury him because there was a fire surrounding him. So Amar Asay B'Shvil Kvod Chachamim Lo Ashkach. So he said to the fire, right? Stop the fire in the cover of the Chachamim. Fire didn't stop. Asay B'Shvil Kvod Avicha. Do it in the merit of your father. Chanina Bar Papa Lo Ashkach. Asay B'Shvil Kvod Atzmicha. Again, Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa, do it in honor of your own cover. We can't bury you unless the fire abates. Istalik. Ultimately, again, the fire stopped. Amra Abaye Vafuke Delo Kaima Filu Os Achos. So we'll say, why did the fire come? What's the point of the fire? So first of all, the fire itself just seems to be a display of kavod. The Gemara says there's another reason that people who are unlearned should not come close to the casket. Right? That the idea was he was such a great Talmud Chacham that unlearned people shouldn't come close to the casket. Amar Rav Bar Masna Lafuki Mimar Delo Isle Ma'aka LeIgre. This is Rav Bar Masna. Rav Bar Masna said to him, like to exclude someone like you, who even though he was a Talmud Chacham, right? Abaye was a Talmud Chacham. He said, Abaye, you don't have a fence on your roof. But there's a halacha that says you're supposed to have a fence on your roof. So Rav Papa says, Abaye, forget about unlearned people. Look at you. You don't have a fence on your roof. Right? The Torah says you're supposed to put a fence on your roof. So the Gemara says, Velohi, this wasn't true. Mihava hava. Abaye did have a fence. Vahi shaita hi dishajeh zeka. Ultimately, again, in that moment, it happened to be a wind blew down Abaye's fence. Right? We'll say, so again, there's so much to say on this, but we haven't even gotten to today's daf yet. We'll say, so again, I just want to point out, like these exchanges are so profound, and not just here happens, but again, we'll have to save it. So we'll say, why? It's interesting. Ra'asan apparently doesn't occur in Bavel. Why not? They eat beets. And they go ahead and they drink beer that's made from shrubs with thorns. Why is there no tzara'as in Bavel, no leprosy in Bavel? They eat beets. They go ahead and they drink beer. And they bathe in the Euphrates. So ultimately, again, it seems to be the Gemara attributed certain health qualities to their diet in Bavel. Beautiful. Hadrun alach hamadir sitchabosai mazel tov. Today's daf is Ayin Ches, right? 78. So let's say, so he goes. Says the Mishnah. It's okay, it's short. Ha'isha shnafal nechasim achlo tisare. So let's say, listen to this. Now, this is really actually a fascinating sugya. We're going to discuss now about a woman's ability to sell off property. So we'll say, so very quickly, we know that there are two different types of property that a woman brings into marriage. There's what's called nichsei tzon barzel, nichsei malog. Nichsei tzon barzel, ultimately, again, is property that she owns that is valued. It's appraised, and the appraisal is written into the ksuva, and the husband guarantees that appraised amount. In the event of death or divorce, she's paid out if the property is there and it's still worth the same thing. Fine, otherwise she's paid out the same amount. And then there's nichsei malog. Nichsei malog is not included in the ksuva. It's property that the woman holds, that the woman owns. Ultimately, again, the husband gets to use peros. Right? He gets peros of everything. He gets to use peros. Here we go. Ha'isha shnaflo nechasim achlo tisare. You're supposed to listen to this. Rachel goes ahead and inherits property before Erisin, before she even ever met Shimon, right? Reuven, So she goes in and she inherits property. So modim beishamay beisilal shemocheres v'nosenes v'kayom. Everyone agrees. We'll say that's what? That Allah says she has the right to buy and sell that property as she pleases. Now, obviously, what we're talking about over here is in marriage. She inherited it before she got married, right? Once she gets married, she has the ability to go ahead and buy it, sell it, or give it away as she pleases. So the Gemara says, "Naflu lo mishanis arsa." What happens if she inherits property once Erisin occurs? After Erisin, so now right. So after Erisin, what's the halacha? Beishamai om timkar. Beishamai says she has the right to go ahead and sell it. Now, we'll say sell it when? During Erisin. That's what Rashi points out. Beishamai om timkar ba'oda arusa. So she inherits it during Erisin. She has the ability to sell it during Erisin. Beishamai om timkar. Beisila omrim lo timkar. Beisila says, no, you can't sell it. However, elu v'elu modim shemachra v'nasna kayim. But I will say, even Beis Hillel, who says that during Erusin she shouldn't sell it, agrees that what? If you did sell it, then what? It works. Sell is valid. Good. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda, so Rabbi Yehuda says, the Chamsa of Rabbi Gamliel. I don't understand. So we'll say, so listen to this. The Chamsa before Rabbi Gamliel, it doesn't make sense. In other words, we'll say, during Erusin, once Erusin occurs, Reuven, so to speak, is already quote-unquote acquired Rachel. If he's acquired her, doesn't he acquire her property as well? And if he's acquired her property, then what, Rabbi say? Then what? She should not be permitted to sell it. And if she does sell it, the sale shall be void. So Amar Lahem, so listen to this. So Rabbi Gamliel responded, Ala chadashim anu boshim. Rabbi say, now listen to this. Rabbi Gamliel essentially says like this. I don't understand why a woman can't sell property during Nisuin. Right? Rabbi Gamliel says, listen, she owns the title of the property. So during Nisuin, I think she should be able. That's what it means, ala chadashim. On this new ruling, Rashi says, shenaflu lam mishanises. Right? On this new ruling, on property that she acquires during Nisuin, I don't understand why she can't sell. Anu boshim, we are embarrassed. Rashi says over Anu boshim, ma ra'u chachamim lomar im machra v'nasna haba motzi mi'al kuchos. So we're going to see in just a moment that if she sells property during Nisuin, there's an opinion that says that the husband could extract the property from the purchaser. So Rabbi Gamliel says, I don't understand that. Because I think even during Nisuin, she should be able to sell the property. It's her property. So ala chadashim anu boshim. You're asking me about Erusin? So I'll say, so Rabbi Gamliel said, talking to the wrong guy. Because I think even during Nisuin, she should be able to sell, certainly during Erusin. Okay, so we'll say, now let's go weiter. If she inherited property during Nisuin, Elu v'elu modim, both Beisham and Yisrael agree, shemachra v'nasna, that if she went ahead and she sold the property or she gifted it away, shabal motzi miyat halakuchos, that the husband has the ability to extract the property from the lakuchos, ultimately again from purchasers. So the Gemara says, ad shalom nises v'nises. What happens if she acquired the property before Nisuin, and then she had Nisuin, and she sold off the property? Rabbi Gamliel Omer, imachra v'nasna kayim. Rabbi Gamliel says, if she sold it, it works. It works. Rabbi Chanina ben Akiva. So Akavia, sorry, Rabbi Chanina ben Akavia said, Amr Rabbi Gamliel. They said before Rabbi Gamliel, Hoil v'zacha b'isha lo yiske b'nechasim. Rabbi Gamliel, how could that be? Once a husband acquires his wife, doesn't he automatically acquire her property? So how could she sell off anything after Nisuin? So Amr Lahem, again, Rabbi Gamliel says, Ala chadashim anu boshim. So again, Rabbi Gamliel says, I don't understand. I think even during Nisuin itself, ultimately again, even property that she acquired during Nisuin itself could be sold off by her, something that she acquired before Nisuin you're asking me about, to which the Gemara says as follows. Rabbi Shimon Cholek bein nechasim l'nechasim. So I'm sorry. Rabbi Shimon Cholek bein nechasim l'nechasim. Rabbi Shimon says there's a difference between different types of properties. He says nechasim hayiduin labaal lo timkar. Any property that is known by the husband knows about, she should not sell. V'machra v'nasna batal. And again, if he knows about it and she sold it or gifted it away anyway, ultimately the transaction is void. She'enon yodin labaal. But if there's property that the husband does not know about, ultimately lo simkar. Ultimately, again, she should not sell it. V'machra v'nasna kayim. And ultimately, again, if she does sell it, right, she shouldn't sell it. But if she does sell it, b'diavad, it works. Good. So we'll say that's the Gemara. So just to point out, we have a couple of different cases. Case one in the Mishnah, again, a quick chazara. Case one in the Mishnah was what? She is acquiring property before Erusin. She acquires property before Erusin. Everyone agrees that what? She can do whatever she wants. Okay? Case one. Case two, she acquires property during Erusin and wants now to sell during Erusin. What happens there? Beis Shammai says sell. Beis Hillel says don't sell. But everyone agrees that what? That if she did sell, ultimately again, it works. It works. Okay, so that's, they introduced Rabbi Gamliel over here, fine. Third case, she acquires property during Nisuin. Everyone agrees that what? That if she sells it, halacha l'maisa, husband could extract the property from the purchasers. Ultimately, again, if she acquires something before Nisuin, and then ultimately does Nisuin and sells it off, Rabbi Gamliel says, if she did it, ultimately the transaction stands. Good. It says a lot more, but those are the court cases. Says the Gemara. Ma'ishna reisha de lo pligi, ma'ishna seifa de pligi. So we'll say, why is it in the first case? Remember again, what was the first case? First case was she acquires property when? Before Erisin. Before Erisin, and ultimately sells it off, which sells it off when? So when is she selling it off? When is she selling it off? During Erisin. Right? So in that case, Beis Shammai Beis Hillel will agree that it's fine. Transaction works. That's the Reisha. So we'll say, so the Gemara says, why is the Reisha that ultimately, again, no one argues, but in the Seifa? Now we'll say, now what's the Seifa? The Seifa in this case is, she inherits property during Erisin and sells it. In that case, what's the halacha? Beis Shammai says, you could sell it, it's okay. Or Beis Hillel says, you should not sell it. So why do they agree in the Reisha, not agree in the Seifa? Reisha bischusa nafla, Seifa bischusa naflo. It's very simple. We'll say in the Reisha case, when did she acquire the property? When did she acquire it? Before Erisin. Before Erisin, it's totally hers. There's no other claim on it. The Seifa, after Erisin, she already is, quote unquote, acquired by her husband. If she's acquired by her husband, then Lamaisa, again, he has a zechus in that property. He has a zechus in that property, to which the Gemara says, Im bischuso nafla. If that's the case, so remember again, what's the halacha in the Seifa, right? So she acquires the property during Erisin, right, and sells it off. So there, Beis Shammai says it's okay. Beis Hillel says she shouldn't sell it. Now we're saying, why does Beis Hillel say she shouldn't say it? Because her husband has a zechus in that property. Well, if her husband has a zechus in the property, then what should be the status of the sale of the gift? What should be the status of the sale of the gift? Void, because the husband. But yet, what's the halacha? Even Beis Hillel agrees that b'diavad it works. To which the Gemara says, "Ela Reisha vaday bischusa naflo." We'll say the Reisha, it's all hers. It's all hers. Seifa emar bischusa, emar bischuso. So we'll say, here's the real issue. The real issue is there's a lack of clarity as to the status of property during Erisin. Right? On one hand, it's hers. On one hand, it's his. Therefore, lechatchila lo simkar ve'machra nas lakayim. Therefore, we'll say lechatchila we say she should not sell it. But b'di'evet, if she did sell it, ultimately the sale stands. Good. Am Rabbi Yehuda, am Rabbi Gamliel. Ibaylehu. So we'll say now, again, remember, Rabbi Yehuda comes before Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Yehuda comes before Rabbi Gamliel. Right? And this is in the first part of the Mishnah. So we'll say this was after the case of Erisin, right? So we have the case of Erisin. She inherits property. She inherits property during Erisin, sells it off during Erisin. Beis Shammai says okay. Beis Hillel says no, don't sell it. But everyone agrees that b'di'evet, if she did it, the sale works. Rabbi Yehuda comes before, right? So Rabbi Yehuda says that the Chachamim said before Rabbi Gamliel, I don't understand why this works. Why should such a sale work? Since the husband acquires his wife, he should also what? Acquire all of her property, which means that even b'di'evet, sounds like even b'di'evet, the sale should be void. So now the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda, Ibaylo. Rabbi Yehuda lechatchila or adiyavad. Rabbi say, is Rabbi Yehuda arguing lechatchila or even b'di'avad? Look at Rashi very quickly. Rashi lechatchila pligi va'amri amay mocheres lechatchila be'shamai hoil v'zacha be'isha she'er salo yiska b'nechaseh ava b'di'avad modi ki Beis Hillel. So Rabbi says Rabbi Yehuda is saying, I don't understand. Why does Beis Shammai allow a lechatchila sale? Is that what Rabbi Yehuda is arguing on? Oh, Dilma di'avad nami pligi u'bay l'meira machra batal. So I'll say, what is Rabbi Yehuda coming along to say? Is he coming to say, I don't understand why Beis Shammai lechatchila allows such a sale during Erisin? Is that what he's arguing on? But he agrees that b'di'evet the sale works. Or is he saying, no, he's arguing on Beis Hillel? I don't understand b'di'evet, why should such a sale work at all? That's what he's asking. So Tashma, Amud Beis, Tashma, Tisanya, Am Rabbi Yehuda, Am Luther, Rabbi Gamliel, Hoel v'zu ishto. So let's remember again, what does Rabbi Yehuda say? Rabbi Yehuda says like this, since Hoel v'zu ishto, right? Remember this later on in the Mishnah, right? Since this is his wife, v'zu machra batal, avzu machra batal. If the sale is going to be void during Nisuin, so the sale should be void during Erisin as well. Rabbi Gamliel says, ala chadoshim anu boshim. So Rabbi Gamliel said, I don't understand the first halacha by Erisin. Now you're coming to introduce a new halacha by Nisuin. Shmamina di'eved ka'amar shmamina. See from here that what? That Rabbi Yehuda is really arguing ultimately again, not on Beis Shammai, but he's arguing on the b'di'eved of Beis Hillel. Incredible. So Gemara says this: Tanya, Rabbi Chanina ben Akavia. So lo kach heshiva Rabbi Gamliel lachachamim. This is not how Rabbi Gamliel answered the chachamim. Ela kach heshiva lo. Right? Ela kach heshiva. And this is how he responded. So the Gemara says, lo im amartem ben esua shekein bailo zakai b'mitzias masiyadeh. So we'll say, listen to this. So comes along Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel says, listen, guys, I could come around to the case of nisuin. Right? I could come around to the idea that during nisuin, if a woman goes ahead and sells off her property, that such a sale should be void. I could wrap my head around that. Why? Because during nisuin, a husband has heightened rights within his wife. Namely, the mitzvah, if she finds something, the ma'asiyadeh with her earnings, hafaras that he could annul her vows. So again, so I can understand then in that case why during erusin, if she goes ahead and sells off property, he could void the sale. Talmud ba'arusa shein ba'ila zaka love mitzvah. But by Erusin, a husband has none of these rights. So just like a husband has none of these rights, he shouldn't have a right to block a property sale as well. Amrulo Rebbe, Amrulo Rebbe, Machala Achlo Nises. So the Gemara says Achlo Nises, Nises va'achakach machra mahu. All right, we'll have to stop over here for today. I'll say, so again, don't worry, we're on track. We're on track in Mirza Hashem. We'll be fine. It's a short daf. Sometime, Mirza Hashem. I'll say, again, you have to admit, the first part of the daf was too good to go. Really was. So stop. Also, just a reminder, Michael Leibowitz is sitting Shiva right across the street. They had a little bit of difficulty getting a minyan yesterday. They start slichos in just a few moments from now. They start, again, it's shortened slichos. Not that that's to entice anyone. Shortened slichas because of a base avel. So they start chakras at the same time, 6:45 as well. All right, was a shkoyach.